My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm 68 years old, and I'm standing in my kitchen making coffee for one, again, like I have every morning for the past 8 years. But today, I need to tell you something I should have understood decades ago, something that might save your relationship if you're willing to listen.
I was married to Margaret for 37 years. 37 years of shared Christmases, mortgage payments, raising 2 kids, building what everyone thought was a stable, respectable marriage. And I destroyed it. Not with an affair, not with abuse, not with anything dramatic that you'd see in a movie. I destroyed it with silence. Let me explain. Margaret and I met in 1976 at a community theater production. I was building sets. She was painting them. We bonded over terrible coffee during rehearsal breaks and discovered we both loved old mystery novels and disliked mushrooms. The early years were good. No, they were better than good. They were electric. We'd stay up until 3 in the morning talking about everything and nothing. We'd take spontaneous road trips. We'd try new restaurants, new hobbies, new everything. But somewhere along the way, and I can't pinpoint exactly when, we stopped doing that. We had kids. Emma was born in 1980, Daniel in 1983, and suddenly life became about diapers and school pickups and soccer practice and parent-teacher conferences. Margaret threw herself into motherhood. She was incredible at it. Patient, creative, always planning activities and adventures for the kids.
I threw myself into work. I was an engineer at a manufacturing company. Long hours, good pay. I told myself I was being responsible, doing my part. What I was actually doing was hiding. See, work was simple, clear. I solved problems with definite solutions. Home was complicated, emotional, messy in ways I didn't know how to handle. So I kept working. Overtime, weekends. I convinced myself it was for the family, for our future, for stability. But really, it was easier than being present. Margaret tried to reach me. She'd plan date nights. I'd cancel because of work deadlines. She'd suggest weekend getaways. I'd say we couldn't afford it. She'd start telling me about her day, and I'd nod along while mentally solving engineering problems. Eventually, she stopped trying, and I didn't even notice. The kids grew up. Emma went to college in 2000. Daniel in 2003. Suddenly, it was just Margaret and me again, just like the old days. Except it wasn't like the old days at all. We'd become experts at living parallel lives under the same roof. She had her book club, her garden, her volunteer work. I had my job, my woodworking hobby, my weekend golf. We were polite, cordial. We functioned like a well-oiled machine. We just weren't intimate anymore. And I don't mean physically, though that had faded too. I mean, we weren't connected. We weren't vulnerable with each other. We weren't really seeing each other. I thought this was normal. I thought this was what happened in long marriages. The passion fades. You settle into comfortable routine. You become companions instead of lovers. I thought we had time to fix it later. Maybe when I retired. Maybe when things slowed down. But Margaret didn't think we had time. In 2016, on our 36th anniversary, she told me she wanted a divorce. I was blindsided completely. We didn't fight. We didn't have problems. How could she want a divorce? Robert, she said, and her voice was so tired, we haven't had a real conversation in 10 years. You don't know anything about my life anymore, and I don't know anything about yours. I protested. Of course I knew about her life. She gardened. She read mysteries. She volunteered at the literacy center. When did I start volunteering there? She asked. I didn't know. What book am I reading right now? I didn't know. What's been bothering me lately? What am I excited about? What do I worry about when I can't sleep? I didn't know any of it. And the worst part, she couldn't answer those questions about me either, because I'd never told her. I'd stopped sharing, stopped being vulnerable, stopped letting her in. We'd become two people who shared an address and a tax return. Nothing more. She moved into the guest room that night, filed for divorce 3 weeks later. It was finalized by the end of the year. The kids are upset, but not surprised. You guys have been like roommates for as long as I can remember, Emma said. That hurt more than I can explain. After Margaret left, I did something I should have done years earlier. I started paying attention, really paying attention. I found her journal in a box she'd left behind. She said I could throw out anything she didn't take, but I couldn't throw out that journal. Reading it was like discovering a stranger I'd been married to for decades. She wrote about loneliness, about feeling invisible, about trying to connect with me and hitting a wall every time. One entry from 2008 said, Rob came home at 9 p.m. again. I'd made his favorite dinner. It was cold. He ate it in front of the TV without saying a word to me. I stood in the kitchen and cried, and he didn't even notice. Am I even here anymore? I didn't remember that night. It was probably one of hundreds of nights just like it. Another entry from 2012 asked Rob if he wanted to take a pottery class with me at the community center. He said he was too busy. He's always too busy for anything I suggest. I'm going to stop suggesting things. I vaguely remembered her mentioning pottery. I dismissed it as silly, a waste of time. I had more important things to do. Except I didn't. I just thought I did. The entry that destroyed me was from 2014. I don't think Rob loves me anymore. Or maybe he does. But he loves his work more, his routine more, his silence more. I'm just part of the furniture. Now, the wife-shaped person who does the grocery shopping and reminds him about his mother's birthday. I did love her, I swear I did. I just forgot to show it, forgot to say it, forgot that love isn't just a feeling you have, it's actions you take, attention you give, a presence you offer. After the divorce, I went to therapy. At 60 years old, I finally decided to figure out what went wrong. My therapist asked me a question in our third session that changed everything. Robert, when was the last time you were curious about Margaret? I didn't understand what she meant. When did you last ask her a question because you genuinely wanted to know the answer? When did you last try to understand her perspective? When did you last treat her like someone interesting, worth discovering? I couldn't answer, because the truth was, I'd stopped being curious about Margaret years ago, maybe decades ago. I'd put her in a box labeled wife and assumed I knew everything I needed to know. But people aren't static. They grow. They change. They develop new interests, new fears, new dreams. Margaret had been evolving for 37 years. Here's what I learned too late. Marriage isn't a destination. It's not something you achieve and then maintain on autopilot. Marriage is a practice. Every single day you choose to be curious, to be present, to be engaged, or you choose not to be. And I chose not to be. For 30 years, I chose comfort over connection. I chose routine over romance. I chose silence over intimacy. I took her for granted because I thought she'd always be there. After all, we'd made vows. We had a history. We had kids together. But vows aren't magical binding contracts. They're promises you have to keep choosing every day through your actions. If I could go back, here's what I'd do differently. I'd put down my phone when she was talking, actually listen instead of just waiting for my turn to speak or thinking about something else. I'd ask her questions, real questions, not "how was your day?" in that automatic way where you don't really care about the answer, but genuine curiosity about her thoughts, her feelings, her inner world. I'd say yes more. Yes to the pottery class. Yes to the weekend getaways. Yes to the spontaneous date nights. Yes to the things that made her light up, even if they didn't particularly interest me. Because here's the thing, it wasn't about pottery. It was never about pottery. It was about her wanting to share an experience with me, wanting to create new memories together, wanting to feel like we were still a team. And I kept saying no, because I was tired, because I was busy, because I didn't see the point. The point was her, the point was us. I'd also share more. I'd tell her about my fears, my frustrations, my dreams. I'd let her see me, really see me. The messy, uncertain, complicated parts I kept hidden because I thought I had to be. Strong and stoic. But walls don't protect marriages. Walls kill them. Margaret wanted a partner, not a stone statue who provided financial stability, but nothing emotional. I'd make time, actual time, not the leftover scraps at the end of a long day when I was too exhausted to be present, but prime time. Morning coffee, where we actually talked. Evening walks. Weekend adventures. I'd prioritize her, not just say she was important, but show it through my choices. What you make time for is what matters to you, and I made time for work, for golf, for my hobbies, but not for her. Most importantly, I'd stay curious. I'd keep dating her, even after decades of marriage. I'd treat every conversation as an opportunity to discover something new, because she was always growing, always changing, and so was I. We could have grown together. Instead, we grew apart because I stopped paying attention. It's been 8 years since the divorce. Margaret remarried 2 years ago to a man named Thomas. He's a retired teacher. They take ballroom dancing classes together. They travel. They laugh. I saw them at Emma's wedding last year. The way he looked at her, really looked at her, present and engaged. That's how I should have looked at her for 37 years. She seems happy, genuinely happy in a way she wasn't with me for the last 20 years of our marriage. And I'm glad for her. Truly, she deserves that. But it could have been us. Should have been us if I just paid attention, if I just tried. I'm telling you this because maybe you're making the same mistakes I made. Maybe you're so busy with work, with kids, with life, that you've stopped really seeing your partner. Maybe you think you have time. You'll reconnect later, when things calm down, when the kids are older, when you retire. But later might not come. And even if it does, you'll have wasted years of potential connection. Years you can't get back. Your partner is right there, right now. A whole complex human being with thoughts and dreams and fears you might not know about because you stopped asking. Start asking again. Put down your phone during dinner. Cancel the golf game and take a walk together instead. Say yes to that class they want to take, that trip they want to plan, that conversation they want to have. Be curious. Be present. Be intentional. Because comfort is easy, connection takes work, and most people choose easy. I chose easy, and I lost the most important relationship of my life. Don't wait for a wake-up call like divorce to realize what you had. Don't wait until you're 68 years old, drinking coffee, alone, reading old journals and realizing you were living with a stranger you claim to love. Love isn't just a feeling that happens to you. Love is attention. Love is effort. Love is curiosity. Love is showing up over and over again, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I have a photo on my desk. Margaret and me on our wedding day in 1979. We're young, laughing, full of hope. Looking at that photo, you'd think those two people would make it. We could have, if I'd just remembered that the woman in that photo would keep growing, keep changing, keep becoming. And my job wasn't to freeze her in time as the wife. My job was to keep discovering her year after year, like the adventure I signed up for on that wedding day. I forgot that, and it cost me everything that mattered. Don't forget, don't let your relationship die from the quiet poison of neglect. Don't assume your partner will always be there. Choose them every day. Through your actions, your attention, your presence, choose them while you still can.